Hi, I'm Eddie Muller. This is TCM's Friday night series of neo-noir films. I am here on the Noir Alley set with my colleague Ben Mankiewicz.
Thanks for having me. It's our Hump Friday.
Yes, exactly. Last week we showed Get Carter and talked all about what an influential crime film that was, how it sort of triggered a whole revival in British crime movies. But tonight, throwing the knuckleball, the same team that made Get Carter followed it up with something that's entirely different. So we're showing the film Pulp from 1972, the year after Get Carter, with the same basic team that made that film. Producer Michael Klinger, star Michael Caine, and this one is written and directed by Mike Hodges. Totally different animal.
Yeah, but we were just talking right before we started rolling. There's a little clue at the beginning of Get Carter, like a little nod to what we get in Pulp. What is the?
Well, it's when Jack Carter is heading up to Newcastle on the train, and he's reading
in the opening credits.
The opening credits. He's reading a paperback of Raymond Chandler's Farewell, My Lovely, and the tip-off here is that Mike Hodges was clearly a fan of classic crime fiction, and so for Pulp, he writes a whole story about a guy who writes these novels.
Humor me. For people who don't have a good definition of it, obviously not me, now, how would you define pulp to people?
Well, it's called Pulp because originally it grew out of pulp magazines, which were hard-boiled crime fiction in the 1930s, but truthfully, it was any magazine printed on cheap paper because you could see the wood pulp in the pages. That's how it got its name. But over time, the pulps, which would have been adventure, science fiction, crime, westerns,
right,
yeah, exactly, anything like that, which in the movies is like genre films, right? This is genre fiction. But over time, it's the hard-boiled stuff that really stuck. And so people think of pulp like Pulp Fiction, like Tarantino's movie. This is Pulp, that would be Pulp Fiction, but it's all drawn from kind of the same source material, which is this kind of trashy stuff that our protagonist in this film, Mickey King, played by Michael King, the stuff that he writes.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie we can talk about because it's the opening scene. It's somewhere in the Mediterranean, and it's an office, and there are women listening to Caine dictate his novel, and they're typists, and they're loving it because it's sexy and it's exciting. Yeah.
Yes, that is a classic title sequence, and it sort of sets the tone for the whole film. He is hired to sort of ghostwrite this old Hollywood star's biography. Preston Gilbert, played by Mickey Rooney.
Yeah.
And Mickey Rooney is completely over the top.
Totally. I mean, the scenes that Rooney delivers in this, they're pretty good. I mean, there's
fantastic.
Yeah, you read some critics who thought that it was, it's funny how you get some perspective. Like if Rooney had underplayed this, it would not have been interesting at all.
No.
So, I mean, the critics who thought that Rooney was over the top, were like, yeah, that's right. He was playing a giant over-the-top Hollywood star.
And also it works so well because Caine underplays everything. He's very droll in this movie, very British, and Mickey Rooney is not.
But we can't go, what has it been, nearly 6 minutes of talking. I'm sitting here with Eddie Muller, and we haven't mentioned the two words, Lisbeth Scott.
Yes. Yeah. The noir fans will get a kick out of this because Mike Hodges was such a fan, not just of pulp novels and things, but of the films, that he specifically wanted Lisbeth Scott to be in this movie to play a pivotal role. She had been long since retired from the movie business, and he was delighted that she agreed to do this. The whole film was shot in Malta. I think she really wanted to get a trip to Malta out of it, was what that was all about.
If you come back, if you haven't done a movie in 15 years, and you come back, do one movie, and then never make another movie, and that movie is shot in Malta, there's some evidence that you wanted the trip to Malta. Yeah.
Exactly right. Exactly right. But it would end up being her last screen appearance. She went back into seclusion after this. So Pulp is Liz Scott's swan song in a noir.
I'm going to, just to get people excited, I'm going to give away one line of hers. She's a politician's wife, and Caine asks her, she likes being a politician's wife, kissing babies and all that. And she says, I don't stop at babies. I mean,
yes.
Come on. Yeah.
So, obviously Mike Hodges has read his fair share of these books.
Yes.
Exactly. So here it is, a very different take on crime fiction from Mike Hodges, writer-director, from 1972. This is Michael Caine, Mickey Rooney, and Elizabeth Scott in Pulp.